So this video is a continuation looking at the housing market, and what I want to do in this video is kind of give you that inside tip on what's happening across the country and why the housing market is so high right now. So I want to approach it from a local operator's perspective. See, I buy properties across the country and I'm in other markets all the time, speaking to tenants, contractors, local professionals. And there's three things that I have noticed among this housing market that I think is cause for why the market is so nuts right now. And the first thing is we've got a new type of buyer. There's a generation right behind me that was afraid to experience the same things that their parents experienced in the crash of 2008. When the bottom of the market hit in the real estate in 2012 and really 13, those people were still on the sidelines waiting for something better than what their parents had experienced. And so as time went on and those individuals started making more money, getting into different kinds of jobs, getting out of college and starting to come into their own, the question was whether or not to rent versus buy. And for a lot of the generation behind me, they just didn't want to buy. You have a whole generation of new buyers that are now entering the market that typically would have already been in the market had it not been for 2008. And frankly, they're doing so from a much more reasonable and intelligent and rational perspective. See, they see what's happening with all the printing of the money. The fact that 20% of all dollars that have ever been in existence in America was created in the last year indicates that we are headed for a serious amount of inflation. And so this generation of people rightly think I need to get into a loan that is going to stay the same regardless of what inflation does. If they don't lock in their housing price, that they're going to miss out, that they're going to be paying a lot more and they may never be able to buy. See, right now it's a sweet spot for a lot of people, particularly those who are newer to their careers and starting to make some actual money are saying to themselves, now is the time to use the money they've received either from stimulus, their gains in cryptocurrency, their gains in some hot stocks that have happened over the last couple of months, and put it into a property that's a safer investment now, not because of the real estate itself, but because of the loan that they're getting for the real estate. Now, some of you are going to argue with me. Those of you who are in the real estate world, realtors, are saying, wait a second, we're getting all cash offers all the time. That's true. People are acquiring properties all cash, but they're not going to keep it all cash. The reason they're doing that all cash offer is to get the property very quickly and then turn around and refinance it. So the mentality of people who are now entering into home ownership that saw all the issues that their parents had in 07 and 08 and 09, they're coming in with a better perspective than their parents did. Because now they're entering into buying these properties, the demand for real estate has gone up. So that's one reason from a local market perspective that the type of people who are buying properties to live in are those who are entering this market who've been on the sidelines for a long time. The second reason I see from a local market perspective why the demand for real estate has gone up has to do with the type of home that people are now wanting to live in. I've been someone who has ran a virtual office for years. COVID has forced a generation of business owners to rethink the way that they operate their business. Rather than having people punch in and punch out and come into an office, they were now having to have them work from home and doing so remotely. And because that has been working unexpectedly well for these old hats, realizing that the production has been about the same, maybe even better, more businesses are allowing and encouraging remote work and doing so virtually. So rather than a person thinking to themselves, I have to live close to my office, people are now saying, if I don't have any commute, I can live wherever I want, even crafting office spaces in these newly built houses for that exact reason. It's also the reason we see the incredible increase in the demand for single-family houses over apartments. When location doesn't matter and people are given the choice about where to live, people are now choosing to live out in the suburbs in a house where they can spread out rather than in an apartment in a location close to work to save on the commute. So the second reason why the housing market is increasing has to do with the fact that people are now moving out of a rental property in an apartment into a house that they're trying to buy, therefore driving the demand for those houses. Now, my third and final reason why I think the housing market has gone up from a local market perspective has to do with what's going on actually in some cities. There are some cities that have enforced some pretty strict COVID restrictions, having to do with occupancy of your business, mask regulations, closing down on a whim and whatnot. The question is really simple. Who's opening up a restaurant in California right now? California has been so restrictive that people who are wanting to do business there simply can't. They have to then make a decision about, do we stay in California or do we move someplace else? This scenario is being played out across the country. Whether it's going from California to Colorado, Colorado to Texas, people are moving because of local municipalities' COVID restrictions. You see, people want stability, and where there is stability across the country, that's where people will go. The issues locally are causing people to want to move across the country, and therefore increasing the demand for housing. Additionally, there are places like San Francisco, LA, even Denver, Colorado, where the homeless population is getting out of control. People don't want to live where a homeless compound is causing blight in their community. They simply don't want to put up with all of the issues that come with that. Now, the homeless issue is something that city council members and mayors need to make a decision on, but homeowners are getting fed up with it and moving to other parts of the country where they don't have to deal with that issue. You see, the jumbling up of all of these markets from one market to another market is causing the demand in certain markets to go up. Now, conversely, there may be some opportunities in these exiting cities to potentially get deals, but right now that's just not the case. Everything seems to be up. So the three reasons why I think the housing market is going up from a local market perspective is, number one, we have a new generation of home buyers that is now entering the market. Number two, we've got a home type situation where people are wanting to move out of apartments into houses. And then number three, we have local government issues dealing with both COVID restrictions and a homeless population, people wanting to move out of those cities. So what should we be looking for as an investor to capitalize on the situations we're dealing with right now? Pay attention to the markets that people are exiting due to poor government leadership. If a stronger leader is going to come in and clean that city up, install some business-friendly principles, you might be able to catch the wave after people have exited that market and before the new group of people come in. Additionally, pay attention to the amount of building going on in local markets across the country. It's going to be a while before we have oversaturated the demand for real estate. However, if we look historically at what has happened on every real estate crash, we see that we wind up building too many houses. Right now, the demand for real estate is so high and the supply is so low. If we're not careful, the demand will go down and we'll wind up having more houses that people don't want or can't qualify for because we built more than what we needed. It could be a catastrophic shift from the demand of real estate and the supply that we have going topsy-turvy. That will cause a downturn in the real estate market. But third, the most important thing to pay attention to is what our government does with our financial policy. Are we going to continue to print money, or are we going to cut that off and make people earn the money for those down payments? If that's the case, demand will go lower. Additionally, if the Fed raises rates, people are not going to be able to afford those monthly payments. Therefore, demand goes down, and down with that demand will also go the price of real estate. Those are the two most pressing things that I'm paying attention to. Are we going to continue to print money, and is the Fed going to raise rates? Now, this analysis is just me seeing what I observed, talking to the people in local markets across the country, just pontificating. You may agree with me, you may disagree with me. I'd love to hear your opinion. I'd love to have that dialogue and that conversations in the comment section. So I do want to say thanks a ton for watching these videos. It means a lot to me. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.